Today I want to answer the question, should I hire a professional property manager or will any real estate agent be good enough to manage my rental? You know, here in the state of South Carolina, anybody that has a real estate license can manage property for others. So when you're looking for someone to help manage your rental properties, it's natural for you to ask the question, do I need a professional property manager or someone that just has a real estate license? Well, the answer to that really comes down to a few simple questions. So let's look at those questions today. First of all, does the person you're talking to know the fair housing laws and how those laws apply to rental properties? If they don't, then you could be opening yourself up to a fair housing violation, and you might end up hiring an attorney to help you resolve that issue. Is the person you're talking to a real expert in the South Carolina Landlord-Tenant Act? Do they know what the essential services are? Do they have a process for ensuring compliance with those essential services? You know, the South Carolina Landlord-Tenant Act is the basis for how a landlord and a tenant need to work together while that tenant is living in that rental property. And if you don't have someone who's a professional who knows the laws managing your property, you could be opening yourself up to a lot of problems. The next thing is, does the person you're talking to know how to tell the difference between a pet and a service animal? And do they have a good system in place to make sure that someone who's coming into your rental property isn't bringing an unauthorized pet? You know, right now in our world, unfortunately, there are some people who try to take a pet and turn them into a service animal by getting a certificate online and then saying, oh, look, I don't need to pay pet rent or I don't need to pay those pet fees because my pet is really a service animal. Here's a certificate that I just printed off the internet to prove it. Well, professional property managers know how to deal with that, and they know what questions can be asked, and they know how to verify that a service animal is really a service animal and pets are really pets, and they protect your property in that way. What's their process for screening applicants, and does it comply with all the applicable laws? You know, from gathering credit information to reviewing criminal records, there are a lot of things that go into screening applicants and weeding out bad tenants and making sure that only good tenants go into your properties. A professional property manager has a great process and systems in place to do that screening. And so make sure that the person you're talking to about managing your rental property has a good system in place to screen applicants and do it legally. And then lastly, how do they handle maintenance issues? Do they use licensed and insured vendors to make repairs, or do they just send anybody with a screwdriver and a hammer out to your rental property? You know, while you were living in that house, it might have been fine for you to crawl under the sink or to make a few repairs yourself, and that might have been just fine for you if you were handy and you enjoyed doing that. But now that this property is a rental property, you have to use insured and licensed vendors to make those repairs. It's really in your best interest. Ultimately, it saves you money and it helps reduce your liability. So I want you to consider these things when you're looking for your next property manager. I hope this information has been helpful to you today.